Alice visits Rue, knowing he was the one who saved her, and she introduces herself as Alice Sternbelt. She knows about Parabellum, and she decides to hire them, telling them to escort her to the royal capital. But he refuses, reminding her that she has guards, but she thinks they're useless, and the boy reveals that she'll be paying them a gold plate for the job. The girls tell Rue that it's worth 1 million gold coins, so he realizes that the offer is too good to pass up. Rue ends up accepting the job, but he wonders why Alice has no guards. So she explains that she left them, and he can't believe this, thinking they're searching for her, and they might mistake him for a kidnapper. But he knows that he can't break the contract, so they ride the skeleton centipede, as the princess points him to a herd of buffalo. So they kill one of them, and they eat it, but Rue comes up with an idea, and he decides to tame a buffalo, so that the skeleton centipede will look less conspicuous. They continue their journey, hunting monsters along the way, but Alice keeps putting herself in danger, so Rue realizes she's trouble. They see a nest, and Rue knows there are turtle snakes. So he pulls them out, and Alice apologizes for her behavior, as she decides to help them prepare the food. They enjoy the meal together, and as they journey on, Rue notes that Alice is aware that monsters are dangerous, but she's doing ridiculous things because of her curiosity. We learn that the boy is a knight, and he's about to train with Rue, but Alice decides to join them, because she wants to learn how to fight. Rue notes that the boy lacks combat experience, so he gets beat up, because Rue wants him to realize that he needs to get stronger. But Rue realizes that Alice has potential, and he knows that she's determined to improve. They discuss the route they should take, and we learn that the shortest route is extremely dangerous, because they need to get past the strongest creatures in the mountains, which are known as the Falaise Eagles. And the boy adds that their leader, the Jade Eagle, is a force to be reckoned with, because it has the blessing of a god. So everyone thinks they should avoid it, but Rue doesn't care, and he decides to hunt it. They encounter the Falaise Eagles, but Rue captures all of them, and the group eats them for breakfast, but the Jade Eagle suddenly appears, so Rue starts fighting it. But after an hour, everyone becomes worried, thinking he's going to lose. So they decide to look outside, and they realize he lost his arm, so they think he's in trouble. But he eats his arm, allowing him to regenerate, as he reveals that he wasn't fighting seriously. He unleashes his full power, and he restrains the eagle as he lands the finishing blow, sending it crashing to the ground. He notices something on the eagle's body, realizing that it has a soul stone next to its heart, and the girls know that it's extremely rare, thinking they can sell it to make a fortune. Rue eats the Jade Eagle, allowing him to obtain its abilities, but Alice asks him why he eats everything he kills. So he explains that he's doing it to take on their regrets and grudges, and he knows his explanation is weird, because nobody in his past life understood him. But Alice doesn't say anything, and she keeps thinking about what he said. They arrive at the village of Mason, but the people panic, and they prepare to fight Rue. But Alice shows them her crest, as she tells them to be silent, and they recognize her as the princess, so they allow him to enter the village. The mayor gives them a place to stay, and shows them the tourist spots, because he wants the princess to have a good time. That evening, everyone drinks together, and a man touches Mio, so she beats him up. Rue challenges everyone to a drinking competition, saying the winner will earn 4 silver plates, and the villagers accept his challenge. But they all end up getting drunk, and we learn that they never stood a chance, because ogres can't get drunk, and Rue just did this so they would forget about Mio. The next day, they continue their journey, but Rue realizes that the twins are both pregnant with his children, so he calls Gabu, saying he doesn't know what to do. But Gabu tells him they won't make it back to their village in time, because ogre children are born immediately, and he thinks the sisters won't survive, because humans are too small to bear ogre children. So Rue decides to find a place for them to give birth, telling them to hang on, and they assure him they're going to be fine. But Spinel realizes they're getting weaker, thinking they need to eat something nutritious to survive, so Rue removes his arm, and he tells them to eat it, thinking it should give them enough energy. But they refuse, saying they don't want to eat him, so he takes a bite, and he kisses them, forcing it into their bodies, as he tells them that he doesn't want them to die. They reach a cave, where they're attacked by bears, but Zai and the others deal with them, as he prepares a bed for the sisters. He uses his healing ability to keep them alive, as their bellies continue to expand, and Ji tells him that the babies are ready to be delivered, so he performs surgery on the sisters. Moments later, We see that everything went well, and the sisters are still alive. Rue notes that he felt nervous, but he's glad that he was able to save them, and he realizes he's a father now. Gabu calls Rue, telling him that the children are probably over mixed blood, and Rue mentions that they each have one horn. But Gabu suggests removing them, because mixed bloods are shunned by society, thinking they're abominations. But Rue thinks this shouldn't be a problem, as he promises to show them love, and she tells him that Parabellum will take care of the babies. We see that they're both born as lords, and they each have an orb attached to them. So he names the girl Oro, and the boy Argent, revealing that he named them after the color of their orbs. The next day, Rue leaves the cave alone, as he searches for a powerful monster. He sees a giant deer, calling it the White Stag, and he thinks it's a boss, thinking he may not be able to defeat it even if he goes all out. He decides to fight it anyway, but it removes its antlers, and it quickly runs away. He thinks about eating the antlers, but he thinks about his babies, and he decides to save it for them. He continues walking around, and he sees a group of adventurers as they fight against a group of monsters. Rue sees the leader, calling him Baylor, and the adventurers are able to defeat his minions. But Baylor attacks them with an energy blast, and Rue realizes they're struggling, but he acknowledges their skills. The leader continues to fight, and Baylor prepares to unleash his ultimate skill, but he suddenly gets hit by magical arrows, which instantly tear him into pieces. Rue approaches Baylor's remains, as he thinks about storing it in his item box, but the adventurers prepare to fight him, thinking he's a threat. But their leader emits a magnificent aura, and Rue takes interest in him, so he decides to spare him, telling him he can have his potions in exchange for Baylor's remains. The man agrees to this, so Rue puts Baylor in his item box, and he starts walking away, as the adventurers start talking about him, thinking he's an interesting creature. But the leader reveals that he has an ability called Voice of Death, and it told him that Rue could have wiped out his party. Rue eats Baylor, and he returns to the cave, where his family welcomes him back. He gives the White Stag's horn to his children, allowing them to improve their stats, and he tries eating it with Rubelia, and they both obtain strange abilities. Rubelia reveals that she got a new job called Stellum Eater, but Rue realizes that the White Stag is incredibly powerful, knowing he isn't strong enough to tame it. Rue goes to sleep, and the system informs him that his level is maxed out, asking him if he wants to evolve into an Apostle Lord. So he agrees to evolve, and he obtains special abilities, but there's suddenly an error message, telling him he still needs to meet certain conditions to unlock a new set of skills. The next day, they continue their journey, but they realize that Emery and Spinel are pregnant. Rue already knows what to do, so he tells them they're going to set up camp, and we see that they're able to deliver their babies. Emery's son is a high orc, while Spinel's daughter is human, and everyone realizes she's smaller. They rest in a place called Purgatory, as Ellis wears a disguise, thinking everyone will recognize her, because they're already close to the capital. The girls rest at the inn, as Rue leads the others to the Adventurers Guild. Rubelia realizes there's a training room, and a group of adventurers challenge Rue to a fight, but he tells them to fight the others instead. So they start pounding each other, and the adventurers end up losing, but Rue invites them to join Parabellum. He later goes shopping with the girls, and he buys a camera, using it to take pictures of his babies. That evening, he decides to contact the other members of Parabellum, and he calls Sato, who reveals that Sei was able to buy spellbooks, because they've been capturing criminals to make money. He contacts Mei, who explains that she's been gathering information, so Rue knows she's been working hard, and he tells her to take a break. He thinks about calling Kichi, but he suddenly gets a vision, where he gets sliced in half, so he freaks out, wondering what he just saw. So Rue decides to head to the city of Griffos, because he wants to see how Kichi is doing. He tells Ellis that this is going to take 2 days, so they won't be reaching the capital anytime soon, but she allows it, saying it shouldn't be a problem. As they travel, everyone observes the babies, and they realize that Spinel's child isn't developing as fast as the others, but they think it's because humans take longer to mature. Rue sees Mio with a necklace, recognizing it as the one he gave her, but she thinks she isn't good enough for him, because she appears to be falling behind, thinking she's nowhere near his level. She reveals that she wants to have a baby with him, and he tells her he'll never leave her, saying it doesn't matter if she can't bear his children. They reach Griffos, where they see a dungeon, but they encounter a group of adventurers running away, and they mention that there's an overpowered minotaur inside. Rue talks to the mayor, telling him the minotaur is his friend, but the mayor explains that the adventurers are trying to take him out. So they return to the entrance of the dungeon, and Kichi appears with Gobi, as Rue notes how they have gotten bigger. Gobi reveals that they didn't kill the adventurers, and Rue asks Kichi about his vision. So he explains that he reached the deepest part of the dungeon, where he encountered a boss monster that copied Rue. He was no match for it, and the system tells him he died. But his death was cancelled thanks to one of Rue's abilities, and he receives the blessing of the lightning god, allowing him to reach a new level of power. He slices the monster in half, and Rue realizes this is the vision he saw, as Kichi reveals that he's now a minotaur, and Gobi is an earth lord. He wants to test his skills, so he challenges Rue to a fight. So they head to the arena, as Ellis wonders why they're fighting, so Mio explains that they're rivals. Kichi explains that he wants to win, because he wants to be considered as Rue's equal, knowing he has never won against him. They start fighting, as their weapons clash, but Rue falls back and realizes that Kichi is stronger than him. He charges in, and Rue parries his attack, but there's suddenly an explosion, so Rue jumps away, as he notes that he can't resist Kichi's flames. He realizes that Kichi got stronger because he wants to defeat him, so he gets fired up, as they clash once again, and he uses his magic to attack from behind. But Kichi manages to defend himself, and he summons a bull, as Rue struggles to avoid it, so he uses his new ability, which allows him to boost his stats. He throws Kichi away, and he starts attacking with ridiculous speed, as Kichi struggles to defend himself. But he unleashes a burst of flames, so Rue becomes confused, and Kichi lunges at him. So he